couple more things. We mentioned Carlos and Yannick. Everybody loves to watch them play and try to push the boundaries, as you said. Who else stops you when they're on the court or you're watching television in the current game that you really enjoy watching play?
I'd say, I think Jodar's rise has been pretty incredible. Wouldn't have guessed that like a few months ago, and I think nobody really did. So I think the way he's able to maintain his level is incredible. I like Ben, I like watching Ben and also Fonseca. Big hitters, big shot makers, big personalities as well. So they are cool. And I was happy for Zverev winning the French Open also, personally. I know him since he's a boy and coming up on tour and stuff. So that was a nice win for him. So I think interesting U.S. Open. Don't know who's going to be the big favorite this tournament, but I like that it's a bit more open than we have seen in the past.
You're not required to pick a winner, but there's an opportunity here.
Tough one, huh? It's a really tricky one. Obviously I would pick Alcaraz and Novak if Sinner's not here, but then Carlito we don't know, and Novak, we just don't know as well right now. So
I had a specific question about Carlos because people don't understand 4 months.
Yeah.
4 months since you play a match.
Yeah.
No tune-up. You turn up here trying to win 7 best-of-5 matches in this place. How would you explain the challenge of that for someone that hasn't been there?
I think it depends on only he knows. We probably don't know unless you have the better scoop. How much has he been practicing? Has he been able to go all out, in practice for how long? Has it been a week? Has it been a month? And I think that is the difference maker. If it's only been a week, I think it's going to be very tricky. And if it's a month, I give him a good chance to find his groove early on. So he just needs to make sure he gets through the first, I'd say, 3 rounds to get rolling. So I think that I don't know. I don't know the insights of how his practice schedule has looked like.
But he needs a month, you think, of quality hitting, or at least more than a week.
I feel like that would be helpful to really, truly feel that you can win it. Otherwise, you're a little bit more at the mercy maybe of, the other guys. Yeah.
What's the key thing to maintain the hunger? Because you're in some ways combating human nature when we sort of get satisfied.
Right.
I mean, you wake up every day for 4.5 years as number one.
Yeah.
People dream of doing it for one day, and yet the hunger was maintained.
Yeah, so for me, that part actually, funny enough, was more on the simpler side. Is being world number one is such a privilege, and I know that everybody else who's a tennis player would love to be there. So just out of respect for the game and everybody else, I cannot be waking up feeling like, oh, I'm not in the mood. I don't love tennis, and it's just not fun, and I don't like it. I feel like naturally, this is my dream, and I'm living it right now. So make the most of it, because once maybe you lose it, or once it goes away, you'll maybe never find it again. And I think as you enter the world number one, peak of the mountain where it's very windy and everybody wants a piece of you, it's very hard to also protect yourself from every element, and everybody else is trying to find a way to beat you also. So it's also up to me to not be complacent and actually keep on pushing forward and actually improving. So it's not been easy, but for me, I think getting back to world number one, or getting to world number one the very first time, I find it much a greater challenge, because you're working a little bit into the unknown, whereas actually being at world number one, I felt always I knew what I needed to do to stay there, quite honestly.
Maya Angelou said that what you do is important, but how you make people feel is what they truly remember over time. How you made people feel when you were on the tennis court playing is maybe something we haven't seen in this sport before. When you've heard people say things to you, what does that bring up inside of you?
I don't agree with you that I am the one guy who maybe made people feel this particular way ever. I think there's a lot of players.
No, maybe more than others.
Yeah, but I think of Borg, and
these are their words,
I think of
mine.
McEnroe, and I think of Rafa, and I think of players that really actually also give you goosebumps, that think like, okay, those guys played very cool, and I wish I could see Sampras again, Serpent Volley, or Edberg, or whatever it is. I think there's so many that actually played really, really beautiful, great, amazing tennis, who were a joy to watch, amazing characters, etc. So for me, I think maybe I'd say having a one-handed backhand just speaks to a lot of people, especially the nostalgic tennis fans. So And then regardless of what you do or what you say, I think people are just going to enjoy watching you play because you have a one-handed backhand. And I see that today on the tour, whoever has a one-handed backhand, I like to watch them play just because. But yeah, it's been an amazing journey. And then now, especially in retirement, people coming to me and say, oh, I miss your play and I loved watching you play. It actually still hits home, I must tell you. It's nice to hear that because in the moment, you're thinking so much about winning and losing, and then eventually it's not about that anymore. It's more the feelings that you have left behind for the people. And sure, it's nice to be missed, but the game moves on and it's going in a great direction. The players like Alcaraz and Sinner are pushing this game into a dimension we've never seen before, and it's super cool to see what's actually possible out there.
Longevity was my next question. You, Rafa, Novak, Serena, certainly part of the success was you said healthy enough to achieve for a long time. Already early in their career, we're seeing Carlos and Jannik deal with injuries that jeopardize the U.S. Open. What is the key to sort of coming through that and playing for the long game, trying to stay in this for a long time?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think I felt what helped me was when in 2004, you mentioned it, when I almost already had the credentials for a Hall of Fame career, is when I became world number one, I had won Wimbledon, had won the World Championships, I felt like, okay, so what's next? My goal is to hopefully play for a very long time, because Agassi was still playing. He was about 10, 12 years older than me. So I had a chance to play against Andre many more times than I had the chance to play Sampras, because Sampras retired early. So my goal already when I was 23 years old was to play for a long time. Meant at that time 35 minimum, if not longer, which was kind of a bit crazy to think that way. So I think having that wish and dream early helps for you to actually see a long trajectory. So I think that's number one, that's important. Then of course, you need to be able to understand what can your body take. You need to have the right team around yourself, which tournaments to play, and where do you want to peak? Because if you think you're going to peak at every single event, that's just not reality. And it's hard to acknowledge that, okay, this one might not be the priority, but actually I can play this one with less pressure because my expectations are lower, but my expectations are higher, say, at the US Open, because that's my goal. So I think navigating through all of that, I think, is the biggest of challenges. And it's not simple because sometimes teams change, your mind changes, and then once you are having your first injuries and stuff, how do you overcome them, and how do you then adjust your game to the problems that you're actually carrying with you, like in a backpack for the rest of your career? So I think also dealing with those problems.